Good morning. I'll call this meeting to order. We have a quorum. All three commissioners are present. We'll start out with Commissioner Gross and a flag salute.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I move that we approve the minutes of November 25th, 2013.
I will second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Are there any additions, deletions, corrections? Call for the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? I was forgetting what it was. Any opposed? Resolution passed.
Mr. Chairman, I didn't make the agenda, but we do have a proclamation this morning, and I would move to approve a proclamation recognizing December 4th, 2013 as Elder Abuse Awareness Day.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Commissioner Fund.
Elder Abuse Awareness Day, December 4th, 2013. Whereas, according to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Agency on Aging, 2.1 million older Americans are victims of elder abuse, neglect, or exploitation every year. Whereas the state of Washington had 14,577 reported elder abuse cases in 2009. Whereas the reported abuse rate is approximately 4% of the elderly population. Whereas, for every reported incidence of elderly abuse, there are as many as 5 cases that are not reported. Whereas, the 2012 census reported a population in Lewis County of 75,621 residents, whereas 18.4% of the 2012 population of Lewis County was 65 years of age or older. Whereas elder abuse is a violation of human rights and a significant cause of illness, injury, loss of productivity, isolation, and despair. Whereas county government is often the entity providing both direct and indirect services to enhance the lives of its residents and are responsible for maintaining public safety. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Lewis County Board of County Commissioners do hereby proclaim December 4th, 2013 is Elder Abuse Awareness Day and encourage all county officials, employees, schools, and residents to participate in becoming aware of the causes, the warning signs and symptoms, and channels for reporting elder abuse. Done in open session the second day of December 2013, Lewis County Board of County Commissioners, Lewis County, Washington.
Any further discussion? Anybody want to speak to the issue? Then I'll.
Can't draw them out, okay?
I tried.
Aren't there two representatives of Zonta out there? Could we
They passed on.
But what are your names? Just to say who you are, just so we.
I am Mabel Frauchen. I am the president this year of the Zonta Public Centralia Chehalis. I'm the chair and treasurer of Zonta.
Thank you very much for coming this morning. No further discussion. I'll call for the question on the proclamation. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed?
I move that we approve the notice agenda, items 2 through 4, and they are resolution number 13-549 through 551.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded.
Good morning, Commissioners. Lara Seiler, Budget Fiscal Services. Resolution 13-549 is a notice of public hearing for the third 2013 budget amendment. Notice of the public hearing will be published in the East County Journal on December 4th and the 11th. The hearing will be held on December the 16th. The total budget amendment for all funds will be noticed as an increase in revenue of $342,915. Expenditures increased $600,308, and there's a decrease in fund balance of $257,325. The change in fund balance uses previously received revenue that was not appropriated in the original 2013 budget.
Any questions? Thank you very much.
Good morning, Danette York, Director of Public Health and Social Services, speaking to notice item number 3, resolution number 13-550. It's a notice of hearing regarding the adoption of Ordinance 1252, adopting Lewis County Code Chapter 8.55 for Group B public water systems. The hearing will be held on or after 10 a.m. Monday, December 16th, 2013. The notice will be published in the East County Journal on December 4th and the Chronicle on December 7th. The State Department of Health has revised Washington Administrative Code number 246-291, which will become effective January 1st, 2014. And the revision essentially eliminates oversight of the Group B water system and requires that new water systems meet essentially the same requirements of a Group A water system. Therefore, if Lewis County does not adopt our own local regulations, these new requirements would have a significant impact on the development in Lewis County.
I appreciate the work you put into this. I know that you had a citizen group of people who own, operate, or use Class B water systems, and you got their input, and we came out with a much better product because of that.
Yes, thank you.
Larry Unselman, Real Estate Service Manager, speaking to item number 4, Resolution 13-551. In the matter of a non-exclusive franchise to Kenneth E.S. Barnes to construct, operate, and maintain water system facilities on county road rights-of-way in Mineral, Lewis County, Washington. Kenneth E.S. Barnes owns a small public water system in Mineral. The system occupies portions of Lincoln Avenue, Front Street, and an adjacent alley. Mr. Barnes has made application for a franchise authorizing use of these rights-of-way and assigned a franchise with a 5-year term. This resolution was set a hearing date for January 6, 2014, to consider the matter and call for notice and publication as required by RCW 3655040.
Any questions? Thank you very much.
I'll save my questions for the hearing.
With no further discussion, I'll call for the question on the notice agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the consent agenda, 3 items, Resolution 13552 through 13-554.
Second?
Motion has been made and seconded. Commissioner Gross.
Item number 2 is the weekly approval of warrants. We got a small one this week. We have 4 special purpose warrants in the amount of $200.31, and we have 202 regular warrants in the amount of $422,069.76 for a total of $422,270.07. The next item is a pass-through grant from the Washington State Office of Public Defense. This is an annual grant that we get. Mike, are you going to speak to this?
No.
You're not? No. Why not? It's a facilities thing.
Yeah, the day's not over, is it, sir?
Anyway, this is an annual grant that we get for public defense and improvement in the courthouse. Usually it goes to help with our daily attorney of date who advises accused on their rights when they first are arraigned or before they're arraigned, really. So I think that's correct. Am I right, gentlemen? That's good. I'm glad I'm on the right page here. So that's what this resolution's about.
Good morning, Commissioners. Michael Strozik, Director of Central Services. Item number 7 on your agenda today is Resolution number 13-554. It's approving an interlocal agreement with Lewis County Fire District number 14, or what we refer to as Randle, for radio repair and maintenance services. This is one of our standard contracts that we issue out or make available to the agencies for assistance through our radio services division to maintain their portable and mobile radios. This contract will expire in December, at the end of December 2014, and it has our standard terms in it where we bill $50 an hour for normal time, $75 an hour for overtime, and we collect 56 cents a mile for travel time. I might add that this is a result of the Randle Fire Department coming to us. We did not go out and solicit this or anything. They are having some significant issues there. As the board is aware, we have no radio service companies located in the immediate area, and they're part of our public safety network, so we do make these services available to them.
Any other discussion on the consent agenda? I'll call for the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Consent agenda is approved. We have a couple of hearings this morning. With the hearing, we will first start with a staff report, followed by a question and answer period. If you have a question, please come up to the mic, state your name, and ask your question. After the question and answer period, we will close that and open it for formal hearings. We have a sheet back there if you're interested in signing up as testifying on any of the items on the hearing. And we'll start this morning with, could you introduce yourself?
Good morning, Commissioners. Lara Seiler, Budget Fiscal Services. I have along with me Becky Sisson. Resolution 13-555 is requesting the adoption of the 2014 final budget. Copies of the resolution are available at the front of the room. RCW Chapter 36.40 provides requirements for the budget process for counties. The preliminary budget was submitted to the BOCC and the auditor on September 3rd, 2013. Budget meetings were held in September, which allowed each elected official and department director to discuss their individual budgets with the commissioners. These meetings concluded on September 30th. A notice of this hearing was published on November 13th and 20th in the East County Journal and November 14th and 21st in the Chronicle. Copies of the preliminary budget were placed at the Centralia College locations in Morton and Centralia, as well as Timberland Libraries in Chehalis, Centralia, Winlock, Salcombe, and Packwood on September the 25th. The preliminary budget is also on the Lewis County website. This is the second of two hearings to take public comment and questions on next year's budget. The first budget hearing was held on Monday, October the 7th. There was also an evening presentation of the preliminary budget on November 18th at 5:30 p.m. here in the courthouse. The final budget sets current expense revenue at $31,334,229 and expenditures at $34,731,281. The total revenue for all funds is budgeted at $96,921,233 and expenditures of $102,827,247. Also attached to this resolution is the 2014 salary grid for non-union employees. During the collective bargaining process, this 2014 salary grid may also be adopted for union employees. Budget appropriations for 2014 salaries and benefits are provided in direct correlation to current staffing levels and may not be transferred to operation budgets. And operation budgets may not be used for salary and benefit changes without express consent of the board through resolution.
Any questions? Are there any questions?
Are we going to address each of these separately here? Because you got 55, 56, and 57.
We're going to
Just
address them
doing-
separately.
So we're just doing 55.
Yes.
And then I want to be added to 55 as for comment. Testimony? Yeah.
Resolution 13-556.
Whoa.
I'm sorry.
We'll do one at a time. If there's no further questions, we'll close the question and answer period, and we will, would you like your opening comments to be incorporated into the record of the hearing?
Yes, I would. Thank you.
Yeah, I wanted to make the comment that in the general fund transfers on the third page, I'd like to comment that these are fund transfers that we take out of our general fund or operating current expense fund. That a lot of these are pass-through monies that are not pass-through. They're monies that the county has to fund because they're expenses that are passed on to the county from the state. I'm referring specifically to three items in the general fund transfers. Community development, we have to transfer $600,000 of your tax dollars in Lewis County to community development. And that money goes to do some things with planning that have been passed down to us by the state. The same is true with the public health, $602,888. That's being funded by the local residents, and it's services that are passed down to us by the state. These are mandated services that we have to provide that are not funded by the state. Those are two examples of that. Not all of that money, of course, is that, but there's a good portion of that money that is money that we're required to spend by the state of Washington because they don't fund these programs like they say they will.
Unfunded mandates many times. Yes.
Unfunded and underfunded. That's all I have for that.
Okay, any testimony?
Ron Averill, Greater Centralia area. I attended the budget hearing in November, and I would like my comments that I made during that hearing to be added into the comments for the budget this morning, specifically related to the fact that the large expenditure from the fund balance is, in my estimation, going to cause a problem unless we have some significant growth in the county. And so we need to be aware that what we're doing is going to be impacting the future. Thank you.
Any other comments for public testimony? Then I'll close the hearing for public testimony and entertain a resolution.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve Resolution 13-555, the adoption of the budget for 2014.
Second?
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Call for the question. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Approved. Now we'll do the general levy and road levy, as well as the tax levy shift for 2014. Lara?
Resolution 13-556 establishes the property tax budget for both the general levy and the road levy, as well as a property tax levy shift for 2014. The resolution creates three actions. It sets a budget amount, it increases the county general levy and the roads levy by 1% over the previous year as allowed by Referendum 747, and it allows for a shift from the roads fund. The budget amount sets a limitation that will only allow the county to collect up to the amount set by this resolution. For this reason, the budget amount is set higher than the anticipated revenue in case new information is received after the adoption of this resolution. This resolution sets the county's regular levy budget at $11,700,000 and the county road levy budget at $11,200,000. This resolution also sets an increase of 1% for both the county general levy and the county road levy over the previous year's levy certified levy collections. This is an increase of $114,569.88 for the county general levy and an increase of $112,201.42 for the county roads levy. These dollar amounts are calculated using the previous year's certified levy amount times 1%. A shift of the county road levy to the current expense fund is allowed by RCW 84.52.043. The shift from the county road levy does not reduce the levy capacity of any other taxing districts. The revenue shift from the county road fund to current expense will be $17,000, and it is transferred to social services for use for their DUI program. This resolution also approves this, this resolution will also approve this property tax shift for 2014.
Any questions? Are there any questions? Then I will close the question and answer period, and I would like to know whether you would like your opening comments be incorporated into the record of the hearing.
Yes, I would. Thank you.
Is there any public well, first, any comments from the board? Any public testimony? There is no public testimony, so I will close the hearing for public testimony, and I will consider accepting a motion for.
Move that we approve resolution number 13-556, property tax budget for the general levy and road levy, as well as a property tax levy shift for 2014.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Call for the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That's passed. Now we will have a hearing on approving the budget for the Chehalis Centralia Airport. This has to be done because the actual airport shift of ownership will not happen until 1 January, and we need the budget in now. So, Lara?
Resolution 13-557 is the 2014 budget for Fund 621, the Chehalis Centralia Airport. The Board of County Commissioners has approved Resolution 13-502, and the City of Chehalis has approved Resolution 14-2013, providing for the withdrawal of the county from the Joint Operations Agreement and for the transfer of the county's interest in the Chehalis Centralia Airport to the city effective January 1st, 2014. The City of Chehalis, once it becomes the sole owner of the airport, will have the discretion and authority to revisit and readjust the proposed budget and other matters affecting the airport. If and when the withdrawal and transfer takes place, the county will no longer have authority over the Chehalis Centralia Airport, and the City of Chehalis will have sole authority over the responsibility for the budget of the airport. The 2014 budget would appropriate revenues in the amount of $1,477,903 and total expenses in the amount of $1,710,146.
Does the board have any questions? Are there any questions?
Ron Averill, Greater Centralia area. Perhaps Glenn can explain to me, but I don't understand why we're doing this budget. You have already passed a resolution divesting yourself of the interest in the airport. The City of Centralia has already passed a resolution taking over the airport and indeed even reorganizing the airport staff and eliminating the Airport Advisory Board. I understand that we technically own it until January 1st, but since the city is going to take over the airport on January 1st, and they are also in the middle of their budget process, why aren't they the ones approving this budget for the airport? Please explain.
They actually, it's kind of like you've proposed, she said yes, but the ceremony hasn't taken place yet.
Yeah, but I'm Glenn Carter from the prosecutor's office, and obviously there are probably two opinions on this, but with respect to us, all that you've done is approve the form of the agreements and the approval of signing the agreements at such time as all the contingencies have been fulfilled. And those contingencies have not all been fulfilled yet. We'd still need to have FAA approval of the transaction for everybody concerned. And the closing actually will not take place until later this month. And so there are still contingencies that could conceivably preclude the transaction, although that, at this time, I think that's unlikely. So I would understand this to be a kind of contingent action in the event that it does not close. I thought that that's what you had said, Lara. I think at the bottom of the resolution, there is a statement that says that this is contingent with respect to if and when the transaction becomes effective.
That is correct.
Because again, what we did as a county is the resolution you signed authorized you to sign the agreement upon closing. And it was an approval of the agreements in form, assuming that the contingencies were fulfilled. I think what we meant to say in the last, now therefore be it resolved, the last paragraph, it says, if and when the withdrawal and transfer takes place, the county will no longer have authority.
Any other questions? Are there any other questions? Then I'll close the question and answer period. Would you like to have your opening comments be incorporated into the record of the hearing?
Yes, I would. Thank you.
Now I'll open it up for public testimony. Is there any public testimony?
I will just say, this has been a long and arduous battle. This all started when I first took office, well, it started before I took office. I believe that this consideration maybe was started when Centralia withdrew from the agreement. Has been going on ever since. It was an ongoing issue. When I took office back in 2007, it came to my attention because I wasn't even sure what the county's role was in owning a part of this airport. And as the years went by and I discovered that there was very little, if any, benefit to the residents of Lewis County to have ownership in this airport, it became more and more clear that we really didn't have a fiduciary responsibility or interest in the airport as far as the citizens of Lewis County were concerned. So the last couple of years have been in negotiations regarding how we could make this transfer. The one quirk in this agreement with the Chehalis city was that both parties had to agree that this resolution would take place, or this dissolve relationship. One party, we could not do this unilaterally. We could not go out there and say, here, Chehalis, it's your baby. They had to agree to it also in order for it to happen. And that's finally happening.
Ron Averill, Greater Centralia area. Again, I appreciate all of the comments, and I know that this has been a long process and pretty well vetted, but I would recommend that you amend this resolution as identified by Glenn Carter to show that, to specifically cite that this is a contingency action.
That is in the,
Tell us where.
I just want to be sure that I understand, because it does say in the resolution, if and when the withdrawal and transfer takes place. I think it's already built into the resolution. That was the intent of that language. It may not be crystal clear, but that's the intent.
Any further testimony? Then I will close the hearing for public testimony, and I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve Resolution 13-557, approving the 2014 budget for the Centralia Chehalis Airport.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? I'll call for the question. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? That's approved. We will now have a hearing on the Vader Water System budget.
Lara Seiler, Budget Fiscal Services. This hearing is for the purpose of taking public comment on and to adopt Resolution 13-558 for Fund 623, which is the 2014 Vader Water System budget. A notice of this hearing was published on November 13th and 20th in the East County Journal and on November 14th and 21st in the Chronicle. The City of Vader Water System was put into receivership on October 29th, 2010. Lewis County became responsible for the care and maintenance of the system on January 1st, 2011. The county views Fund 623 as an outside agency fund, so it is adopted separately from the regular county budget. This resolution would approve the 2014 budget for the Vader Water System Agency Fund 623. Revenues will be adopted at $270,000, expenditures at $271,473, which is a decrease in fund balance of $1,473.
Are there any questions? Are there any questions? Then I'll close the question and answer period. Would you like your opening comments be incorporated into the record of the hearing?
Yes, I would. Thank you.
Any testimony? Any comments from Vader? We have a full contingent.
Yes.
If you have any comments or you want to say anything, City Council, residents of Vader? Then if there is no public testimony, I will close the hearing for public testimony and entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the 2014 Vader Water System Agency Fund 623, Resolution Number 13-558.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? I'll call for the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That's passed. Ladies, thank you very much. Becky, would you like to say something into the mic before you leave? You're welcome.
You can sing the Cougar Vice song.
Good morning, Danette.
Good morning. For the record, Danette York, Director of Public Health and Social Services, speaking to adopting Ordinance 1250, amending Lewis County Code, Chapter 8.45, which is the Solid Waste Rules and Regulations. This is a hearing on Ordinance 1250. This hearing was published in East County Journal on 11/20/2013 and in the Chronicle on 11/23/2013. Washington Administrative Code 173-350 was revised in March of 2013. Pursuant to the Washington Administrative Code 173-350-700, Section Number 2, all local health departments are required to adopt ordinances implementing the revisions within 1 year of the effective date of the revised WAC. Ordinance 1250 amends Lewis County Code 8.45 to revise and clarify regulations pertaining to the operation of compost facilities, establishes limits on physical contaminants, requires facility supervisors to have documentation of proper training, and adds a section capturing statutory permit exemptions, and that's just to name a few of the revisions. Another large section of the revisions is adding and removing a few of the definitions within the code. Any questions?
Does the board have any questions? Are there any questions? Then I will close the hearing for the question and answer period. And Danette, would you like your opening comments be incorporated into the record of the hearing?
Yes, I would. Thank you.
Any statement?
I think this is once again, we have Washington State Code, and then we're incorporating that in our code.
That's correct.
Yep.
Any public comment? Then I will close the, well, I'll wait to see if there's any public comment. No public comment. Then I will close the hearing for public testimony and entertain a motion on Ordinance 1250.
Mr. Chairman, I move we adopt Ordinance 1250, amending Lewis County Code, Chapter 8.45.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Call for the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. In the last hearing of the day, Danette.
Again, for the record, Danette York, Director of Public Health and Social Services, speaking to adopting Ordinance 1251, which amends Lewis County Code, Chapter 8.50, which is the food service regulations. Again, this is a hearing, Ordinance 1251. The hearing was published in the East County Journal on 11/20/2013 and the Chronicle on 11/23/2013. Again, the Washington Administrative Code, this time the code number 246-215, has been revised, and the effective date of that revision was May of 2013. The local health departments are required to adopt ordinances implementing the revisions of the Washington Administrative Code. In the Food Service Code, they published a food rule changes document, which was in the form of a flyer, which has been available for the public to review over the matter of the past few months, and will continue to be available if requested through our office at the Public Health Building. The only revisions made within our local county code are those within the state code changes, except we did make one minor change to clarify the difference between a requirement to have an administrative meeting with the local health jurisdiction, meaning if there's violations and a food operator wishes to have an administrative meeting with either myself as the Director of Public Health or our health officer, they can request to do so by just calling in or putting it in writing, and they do have a fee associated with that to cover the cost of the administrative meeting. The confusion within the code was between that administrative meeting and an administrative hearing held by the hearings examiner if they are wishing to have a hearing examiner review any violations. So we did clarify that language. Any questions?
I just have one question, and I just kind of as a statement. We're doing all these hearings in the budget because these are changes required by the state before the end of the budget year, the fiscal year.
That's correct.
Any other questions?
So the change that we're making here is just basically a simple hearing process that we're doing that's changing. What exactly are we changing?
Well, for our local jurisdiction, we can either adopt a state code by reference, or we can have some changes to that state code. In Lewis County, we have had additional information in our local code, so we have to do both items in this particular case with the food. We have to adopt the state code by reference for the changes that they made, and then we took this opportunity to clarify that language about the administrative meeting/hearing.
Okay, so can you give me just a brief
Sure.
statement about what changes the state's putting on us this year?
Yes. So there's a danger zone that if food is left between 40, or it was between 41 degrees and 140 degrees Fahrenheit, it can, and this is potentially hazardous food, it can grow bacteria and make people sick. They have changed that danger zone from the high end from 140 degrees Fahrenheit to 135 degrees Fahrenheit. So they lowered that by 5 degrees. They've added 2 cut vegetables to the potentially hazardous foods list. They've added cut leafy greens and cut tomatoes, so those 2 items will now need to be kept out of the danger zone, which is now, again, 41 to 135 degrees Fahrenheit. They have added that egg pooling. They will allow 4 eggs, actual eggs, shell eggs, to be pooled together for scrambled eggs, but they must be cooked immediately after breaking. They've increased the requirement for fresh fruits and vegetables that need to be rinsed. That was always in the code, but they've added the word that they need to be rinsed in running water, so they've added running to that. They've clarified the service animal allowance, and that was based on the RCW 49.60.218. They've just added that to the food rules as well. And last year, the state allowed a cottage food regulation to go into place, so that was a housekeeping item. They needed to add the cottage food language into their state code as well.
Thank you. The reason I asked for that was not because I didn't know, it's because we'd already gone through this, but I wanted it to be on the public record. And the reason for that is that some of these minor changes that the state puts on us every year that we have to comply with, and it seems like some of these, a 5-degree drop in a temperature is, it's kind of one of those things that just kind of slays me that we go through this process to make this happen.
Did they add the change there for squash? If you heat that and put it on somebody's plate, it may make them ill?
Not that I am aware of.
Look into that for me.
Okay.
Sweet potatoes are in the same category.
No. You're fine.
And let me just make a statement that there are other changes, but those are just a few that I wanted to highlight for you.
Are there any other questions?
Ron Averill, Greater Lewis County. I wasn't going to ask a question, but I just can't resist it.
Okay.
How does this impact Rotary Corn on the Cob at the fair?
It should not impact them at all because we now work very well with the Rotary and they are doing exactly what needs to be done.
So it doesn't have to be heated to these specifications?
135 now, not 100.
No, 35, okay.
No,
Keep that in mind.
actually, they went to a time control method last year and it worked really well for them. And I'll take this opportunity to say once again that we went through the entire fair of 2013 with no food complaints.
Hey,
I think that's the first time in history, and I'm taking full credit for that. Mike, if you want credit, you have to take the senior program.
I second that. Any other questions? With no further questions, I will close the question and answer period. Danette, would you like your opening comments be incorporated into the record of the hearing?
Yes, I would, thank you.
Is there any testimony? Any public testimony? No further public testimony. I will close the hearing and entertain a resolution for ordinance 1250.
I move that we adopt ordinance
51.
1251, amending Lewis County Code, Chapter 8.50.
second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Call for the question. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Ordinance passes.
Chairman, I see no further business. I move we adjourn.
Second?
Motion has been made and seconded. Call for the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.